When you think about the Civil War in Tennessee, places like Shiloh and Franklin may come to mind. But farther east, Knoxville was also a battleground during the war. Next up, Gretchen Bates goes to a mansion that was once a strategic outpost when Northern troops invaded that city.
Tucked away in a suburb on the banks of the Tennessee River stands a beautiful reminder of a very bleak period in Knoxville's past. Namuna Hale Young is president of the United Daughters of the Confederacy chapter, which owns the home.
A Bleak House was built between 1854 and 1858. It was a wedding gift for Robert Houston Armstrong from his father, Drury Payne Armstrong. It was named Bleak House after the popular Charles Dickens novel of the day. And actually, they think they did that with tongue-in-cheek because this was a very social, fun-loving family.
But the name Bleak House turned out to be prophetic in 1863 as it played an unwanted role in the Civil War.
The majority of people who visit our house, which is called Bleak House Confederate Memorial Hall, are people interested in the war between the states. We are now on the Tennessee Civil War trails, of which we're very proud, and we get most of our people because of the fact it was General Longstreet's headquarters during the siege of Knoxville.
Close proximity to the battle surely played a part in Longstreet's choice for his headquarters, but even more important was Bleak House's bird's-eye view of a Union fortification located on what is now the University of Tennessee campus.
The Union line was roughly 500 yards east, so the tower, I'm sure, it probably was the best vantage point. They had sharpshooters. It was Longstreet's Elite 20. They were armed with the latest telescopic rifles from England and Whitworth, which had an accurate firing range of roughly 1,500 yards. When the sharpshooters were here, they were in the upstairs level in what was then the ballroom, as well as the tower of the house. On November the 18th, the first major skirmish, the sharpshooters were just picking the Yankees off like flies, for lack of better terminology, because they were so close. General Sanders asked his chief artilleryman, Lieutenant Benjamin, can you put a shot through that tower to dislodge the sharpshooter's nest? He did fire on the tower that morning, and it hit on the second level of this house, not the tower itself, right below the tower. There were 3 sharpshooters mortally wounded.
An eerie sketching of the doomed snipers still hangs in the tower. It didn't take long for another sharpshooter to exact revenge on the general who ordered the cannon fire.
General William P. Sanders was shot, we think, by a bullet from this house. However, to our knowledge, the bullet was never exhumed, but that is the legend that yes, he was wounded by a sharpshooter from the tower.
The nearby Union fort was named in honor of the fallen commander, no doubt a small consolation for General Sanders. Meanwhile, Bleak House was also being used as a makeshift Confederate hospital.
The Confederate wounded were brought back to this house, we do know that. And then there were skirmishes till they fell in and moved closer and closer to the fort. And the actual battle took place on November the 29th, 1863. Mrs. Armstrong and her twin daughters were here. They were placed for their own security in an upstairs back bedroom, which was on the back side of the house, which was, of course, receiving no gunfire. And they were allowed, when nothing was going on, to come down and eat with the officers in their own dining room. So the Armstrong family's security was most important. There was a sentry posted at the front door, and part of his job was to keep them upstairs when they were supposed to be. At some time during Longstreet's stay, Mrs. Armstrong decided to come down when she wasn't supposed to. And I'm sure the young man asked her to go back up. And apparently she didn't, and he did the first thing he could think of. He fired a warning shot into the stairway, and I'm sure she hightailed it right back up to the bedroom, and we still have .58 caliber mini ball embedded in the stairway there today, which you can feel with your finger.
Fortunately, you'll no longer find lead flying around the house, but you will find a wonderfully preserved link to the past.
Mrs. Armstrong apparently left everything pretty much as was. There are patched bullet holes in the wall. Also, on the outside of the east wall, if you will look, it is pocked full of bullet holes.
Although the Bleak House saw its share of pain and suffering as a battleground during the 19th century, today the house is home to much more joyous occasions.
We rent the house for weddings and events and rehearsals and parties, and yes, we do use the gardens. Most of the brides do get married on the grounds. The Armstrongs had a garden back there, but not the large formal garden you see today. When the Browns bought the house, they built the gardens. They were started in 1906 and finished, I'm sure, not long after that.
Whether strolling through the gardens or learning about the home's history, your visit will be anything but bleak.